Yep. Okay, we're live. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations to Transform Birth. I'm Sheila Kamara-Hay, and I'm here tonight with Leah Alexander. And I'm so excited to have this talk with her because she has had an extraordinary adventure birthing her children, which has led to so many incredible experiences after that in her activation, in her feminine power, in her sexuality. So welcome, Leah. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And so I was thinking, why don't we just get right to the heart of it? And I want you to talk about like that birth where you felt like so connected. I think the words that you used were like a cosmic orgasm.
Talk about it. Yeah, let's start with that. Yes, so that was in the birth of my second son. And I actually didn't realize I was in established labor. I was at home in the shower, and yeah, once I realized that, oh, I think we should go to the birth center now, it was all kind of happening. And I actually birthed him in the backseat of the car. So it was, when I say like cosmic orgasm, it was also had an intensity to it. So it was very quick in terms of, that's what I mean by intensity. I did have my doula present. She was supporting me, which was beautiful. Yeah, and what happened was this column of energy shot up and out of my body as my baby was coming down through my pelvis. And I felt connected to the trees, and this was on the Esplanade. So the beach energy was there, and it was just very extremely expansive. I haven't felt that expanded and connected to a cosmic energy. That's the most expanded I've ever felt.
That's so cool. And this was in the backseat of a cab?
No, of my doula's car, actually.
Oh,
it was
a car. But
yeah.
So like the thing that's really fascinating to me about this, first of all, like I just want people to really soak that in, that you can, as you are birthing your child, be connected to all that is. It really is. Birth is such a spiritual experience, and the energy running through your body is intense, but also incredible in terms of like, if you can really surrender to it, what it can bring forth for you. But the thing that I find fascinating about your birth experience is, like in the birth world, we talk a lot about like the conditions for supporting someone, like the conditions for labor to feel safe. And the fact that you had this experience while you were in transit. So you were not, you're not in your birthing space. You're not really in a stable space even. You're in a transitional state. The fact that you were able to be so connected is amazing. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you prepared for your births and what your relationship to your body was.
Yeah, great question. So I had the confidence from my first birth. So I didn't have fear around birthing. So I think that's a really key piece. My body, I just trusted my body knew what to do. It's almost like this instinctual wisdom that opened up in my first birth that I was really leaning into in my second birth. And then also I did a lot of network care chiropractic work. So that's very gentle form of chiropractic. So I did that all through my pregnancy. I also, what else did I do? I did hypnobirthing, and once again, just helping me get out of a fear space into a trust space. So it's all these key little distinctions that just helped me to just, when the moment came, I was just really in trust. And I think that it's not just one piece. I think it's a few pieces of the puzzle that help me to just, as you say, surrender.
And a lot of those pieces are really about like training your body, right? About building out that body connection and training your body to be able to be connected.
Sure. And yeah, and I do have a history of being an elite athlete, so I always have been in my body, which I think is a good foundation. And yeah, I did a lot of dancing in my lounge room during that second pregnancy. And so all these little bits, I feel contributed just to a moment in time, really. Because it was like that expansive cosmic experience you know how time gets warped in birth,
Yeah.
but I would say it was probably for about 10 minutes. So it's like training for an Olympic event. It's like just for that 10 minutes, like there was a lot that was happening in the lead up to that.
Yeah, and I think when we were speaking earlier, you shared to me that you were actually caught by surprise by like the breadth and depth of that experience, and you shared that after the birth that had like certain ramifications for you. So I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. So with that huge energy that I felt after birthing, so like in the fourth trimester, really, there was this sense of, oh, I'm I'm a spiral being. I'm not as linear as I have. I've been conditioned to be linear in a certain way, and I've conditioned to be quite in my head, and that all came unraveling in a big mess. So I was actually experiencing, quote unquote anxiety, and I was confused as to what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I looked to Tantra and to Taoist practices to help ground that energy back down into my body. And that's been, I'm still on that journey, really. So that's been a 7-year unfolding. And this is what I now share with women.
So I want to hear more about that. Like, how specifically did Tantra help you with that? Or how did it, so it sounds like you were blown wide open and it was like, you couldn't quite get your bearings. It was too different, right? We talk a little bit in Ecstatic Birth about how when you give birth to your children, there's actually a rebirth happening for you as a woman as well, as a mother. And this sounds like a huge rebirth in terms of your relationship to like your body and also like just how you run energy in general, how you relate to the world. So I'd love to hear more about how Tantra supported you in grounding.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there was a moment in time after birthing when I started to connect intimately again with my partner, and I just felt like, oh, my pleasure used to be here, but wow, it's starting to really feel much broader. And I just like, wow, I'm fascinated with that piece of, oh, I was quite limited in what I was experiencing in my body. And so that was kind of the seed behind going into tantric realms. And actually it was more led by my partner than me, because he also had a curiosity about it. So I started to go to workshops, and I think it really helped to downregulate my nervous system, because during the birth my nervous system really exploded, and then it came contracting back. And so then I started to learn tools that just help to really create foundational foundations in the nervous system to be able to hold more pleasure in my body. Mm-hmm. And so now I can experience like vast pleasure without the contracting back, if that makes sense.
So it sounds like it's almost like you learned how to really receive that great amount of energy without having it like shock your system, to really be able to receive it and use it in a way that feeds you.
Yeah, exactly. The key word for me is learning how to nourish my body from the inside out. And Tantra helped with that, and also Taoist practices. So I use the jade egg quite a lot as well. I found that very grounding for my pelvis.
Love the jade egg.
Yeah. So do I.
Shout out to Saida Desolé.
Hey.
So
yeah, and being around women who like are role models was so important for me, because I'm like, oh, am I weird? Like, am I the only one having this experience? And it turns out that I'm not. It can be accessed in different ways. And so I feel as women, we learn through limbic resonance. It's not so much through the words, but through our bodies. And so being around women who are so embodied in their sensuality and sexuality was like a key learning piece for me.
So what would you recommend then for an expectant mom who's like, ooh, I want to feel this connection. I want to feel my, energy expand and I want to feel this connection to the universe, like what suggestions would you have for somebody like that?
Oh, yes, good question. So I feel it's important to start where you're at, and in Tantra, it's all about not having a goal. So to know that it's possible, but I feel it's important to say, yes, I'm so open to that, but then not be attached to it. I feel that that's an important piece. And anything that can help you get into your body and into your pelvic bowl and into your heart space, because those two centers of our body are sometimes overlooked. So I don't know that it could be accessed from the mind, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Anything that helps you get into your body. And for one person, that could be spending time in nature. For another woman, that could be swimming. You have to really find what is a good fit, I feel, for each individual.
I think that's such an important point. I talk a lot about how, we're really trained to hold our energy up here and use our bodies sort of as like a means to navigate our head from place to place. But really, and we need to ignore our bodies, right? To a certain extent. Like, I'm sure anybody watching this can relate to skipping a meal because they were too busy, or putting off going to the bathroom, right? We're sort of trained to ignore our bodies. And so I think what you're saying is so important, because birth is really a body experience. So to release attachment to whether it's, having an orgasm in birth or relating to cosmic energy in this way, to just kind of let that all go and know that you're going to have the experience that you'll have. But the main thing is to really land in your body and let your body guide you in birth.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. So Leah, would you like to talk about like how you were inspired to do the work you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. So, attending workshop after workshop, learning how to come back into my body, I did experience something called yoni de-armoring, or yoni massage, or in Australia we refer to it as yoni mapping. And that was in a group context. And when I experienced that, there was so much recalibration that happened in my system, not just my yoni, but my whole being, that I thought, wow, this is it. I've been on a mission to find my gift and my purpose for a really long time. And it was like, it was that. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that at all. And so then I became trained in that modality. And now that's what I offer, is body work. So I call it sacred female body work.
That's so cool. So it's an internal massage that helps release stuck energy in the yoni?
Yeah, tension and numbness, and my approach is very, I would call yin, or like a very slow approach. And it's not just about the yoni, of course, like it's actually about breath, sound and movement. So there's a lot that happens before we even go anywhere near the yoni.
Which breath, sound and movement, like those are the key tools for sensual expansion, feeling more pleasure in your body. And they're also the key tools in birth, breath, sound, and movement, to help you transmute the intensity of sensation into other realms, including pleasure. So that's really powerful work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the voice, I must say, if I was inhibited with my voice, I wouldn't have been able to access what I access, because I just let it rip with like, because the vocal cords, of course, are so similar to the cervix anatomically. They're connected, and the cervix is connected to the heart, of course. And so there's all these pathways that can really open up through birth, and then through certain cultivation practices.
It's so interesting. I'm wondering, is this possible for a woman to do to herself, or does it require, I'm sure it's much better with a practitioner, but I'm just thinking, like, here in the States, there really isn't anything like this available to us, unless maybe if you live in California. So I'm just curious what other options women have if they're interested in this. Well, maybe the jade egg is a way to do that as well.
The jade egg, is a great start, because so much of the focus around the jade egg with Saida anyway is around the entrance of the yoni. And so that's a really key place to start with is around the permission and whether your yoni is actually a full yes. Like, what does a full yes feel like in your body and in your heart and in your yoni? And so that's a really great place to start. You can use wands. I personally like glass wands as opposed to crystal ones. They're just not as porous. But that's a very big conversation.
That is a very big conversation, and I know it's a tricky one too. So for anybody that's watching who is expecting, that's the sort of thing you're going to want to speak to your practitioner about. I know jade eggs are actually contraindicated during pregnancy, but they're a fabulous, fabulous postpartum tool to help you heal, reconnect to your sexuality, and release any trauma in the area. And I know that one of the things Saida talks about when I send, women to her to learn about the jade egg is if you are expecting, you can do the jade egg exercises without actually using the jade egg. So this is a really amazing way to connect to that part of your body and really start to get a sense of like your muscles and your tissues and how they work, because that's what you're going to be like locating and activating in birth.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do all the exercises even just with your finger. The other person I know who specializes in this is, of course, Nisha Gill. She's an Australian. So she knows all about the different trimesters and what's suitable and what's not in terms of internal work.
I love Nisha. I actually interviewed her last year. She's a graduate of my Ecstatic Birth practitioner training. And I have to say, like, you Australians are amazing. So tell everyone where you are in Australia. So if they want to do like in-person body work and they can reach out to you.
Yeah, I'm based on the Gold Coast in Queensland. So I work from home. I've got a few other studios that I work from as well.
Awesome.
I'm also considering there's a fly actually annoying me at the moment as part of being in Australia, flies. I'm considering opening up just like this, like Zoom conversations as well. So if there's an interest, just reach out to me, and it's not like a formal thing that I offer, but I feel there's a need for it.
Awesome. So thank you, Leah, so much for being here. Is there anything you want to share, you want to add before we say goodbye? I mean, I feel like we could go on for hours. But
I know we could go on about how to summarize. Well, thank you for this opportunity to share my birthing experience. Like, my intention was just to plant a seed of possibility, because that's what was planted in me. Yeah. In terms of, I watched that orgasmic birthing DVD and I thought, wow, that's possible, and it just opened up that as a possibility. And so if I can plant a seed of possibility in someone like that, that was my intention for sharing.
I think you planted quite a few seeds with this conversation. I'm so grateful to you. I mean, I think it's really important for people to know what's available to them, what's possible, because if you don't know what's possible, it's not an option for you. So yes, you can have incredibly expansive experiences in birth. You can connect to the universe, have these intense energies run through your body, and you can feel connected to all that is. Yes, you can have incredible pleasure, both in birth and in your life as a woman. And there's so many different modalities available to support you in that. So thank you, Leah. It was so great being here with you today, and really, really appreciate you sharing yourself so openly and vulnerably.
Thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
I also just want to add, I'm doing a bunch of these interviews coming up in the next, I'm trying to do one a week, conversations to transform birth. I think it's really important to have these conversations and to know what people's experiences are. And I'll be featuring both moms that have, given birth and had these incredible experiences and insights to share, as well as birth practitioners doing really, incredible work and having really profound insights to share as well. So if, you have a story to share, or you have something that you'd like to get out, please reach out to me. And if you'd like to follow the series, I'm going to put a link into the comments, but basically it's bit.ly/transform birth, and you can opt in to get all the notifications. So once again, Leah, thank you so much, and lots of love, everyone.
Thanks, Sheila. Bye.
Bye.